Right.
What's going on, y'all? Luke Coward back here with the Georgia Tech fan account. Um, Doing a little homecoming Duke recap, talking about the game, some stats, my thoughts going forward. Talking a little bit about Coach Key, what I like, what I'm seeing so far, what I think we could still improve on, and then just thoughts going into the bye week. So this is just a continuation of my weekly videos I've been doing, just putting some content out there. So we'll dive right into it. It's hard for me to contain my excitement in this video. First back-to-back wins for the Georgia Tech football program since 2018 when we beat Virginia with a walk-off field goal, and then Miami the very next week. I didn't think I was going to see back-to-back wins this year at the start because I thought Collins was going to be at the helm the entire year. This team, man, just looks so different to me, and I'm sure to so many other people out there. Let's dive into some stats. Let's first talk about the offense. Sims, haters, I'm sorry. Haters of Jeff Sims, I am so sorry you had to watch that game. 23 for 34 for 227, 2 touchdowns, no picks, QBR of 43.6. Guy was on target. He was on time. He looked great in the pocket. He threw the ball away when he needed to. Didn't have any near interceptions that I saw. And then to add on top of that, he was our leading rusher, 17 carries for 95 yards, averaging 5.6 yards a carry with a long of 19 yards. He was pretty much the main catalyst of our offense on Saturday, which is what he should be. Now, has he performed in the past like he should? No, but he played up close to his full potential on Saturday, and I think that part of that is because, just with the new team with Coach Key, I really think there's a lot of different theories on it. Why we're seeing such a difference in this team right now, because we have all the same coordinators, most of the same scheme, I'm assuming. My guess is that Collins had all these coordinators on the leash. And I think Brent Key is just taking a step back, coaching the team from a more general perspective and letting the coordinators do their thing. And Sims just looks a lot more confident out there. He's running into defenders, putting his shoulder down and putting his foot in the ground and getting vertical, which we haven't seen a lot of in his time at Georgia Tech, which everyone's been wanting to see that. I mean, the guy's, 6'3", 215. I mean, he's huge. So seeing him use his physical size to his advantage when he runs the football is really exciting. So I thought he played lights out. I said on my last video for the Duke prediction, I said the keys to the game would be Jeff Sims having to have a good game, which he did. And also said Nate McCollum would need to have a breakout game at receiver, which he did. 101 yards receiving and a touchdown. Nate McCollum was awesome. He averaged 12.6 yards a catch and had a beautiful catch in the end zone with a beautiful ball thrown from Jeff Sims down there in the south end zone. So he looked great. And again, a guy like Nate McCollum has to go off for our offense to really click and have a chance, which is what I was saying on the last video. And we saw that a little bit. So that was really encouraging to see. Really looks like, it was only one game, and it was Duke. We don't really know how good their defense really is. But it seems like over the last 2 weeks, Sims, especially rushing the ball, is playing a lot more confidently. It seems like Chip is really starting to figure out what makes him comfortable and what makes him uncomfortable, and really putting him in a position to make throws and win games. Again, it all comes down to the offensive line. That's what it all comes down to. They didn't give him a lot of time when we played Pitt. That is one of the best D lines in the country. But versus Duke, he had time in the pocket, and everyone who has been hating on Jeff Sims, now you see what he can do when he has time in the pocket. Now you see that. And now you see what he can do when we get another playmaker unleashed like Leo Blackburn, who we have not seen at all. This was his Georgia Tech debut in the white and gold. And that was exciting. What a debut to have, a touchdown catch, 46 yards receiving. He looked great. He got open early. One of the first plays, he subbed in the game. He was one-on-one outside and just completely torched his corner off the line. I mean, Jeff Sims did overthrow him a little bit. That was an early mistake that Sims made, but it would have been a touchdown or at least a big completion. Blackburn had at least 2 or 3 steps on him. And from that moment, that was like early first quarter. I was like, yeah, Leo is going to be that guy, which we all knew, I think. He's been compared to Calvin Johnson, and we've all just been kind of scratching our heads like, where is he? Like, I don't agree with this comparison. Like, you can't do that and then not play, blah, 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 blah. And he came in and he showed us. So I hope that he continues to build on that. Sims has yet another weapon. So we've got McCollum, we've got Blackburn. Malachi Carter has been really quiet this year. I mentioned that in my last episode as well. But we have him at our disposal as well. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he's a guy that can come out at any time and make a play. He's great after the catch. So Sims is just adding another weapon with the offense, and I think that that's great. So the offense looked pretty good. We stalled out in the red zone a couple times, which is something we need to continue to work on. But I think that's gotten better week by week. I think we stalled out a lot early in the year. Obviously, UCF was horrible. Pitt, we stalled out a decent amount, but we also scored in the red zone, and we have a field goal kicker now, so we can at least get 3 points away from it. And then, we looked a lot better in that regard on Saturday as well. We did stall out a couple times. First drive, we had to settle for 3, but the offense is moving the ball a lot better than I expected at this point in the year. So I'm pleased with the offense. The offense needs to continue to build on this. I'm not satisfied. I'm pleased with what I've seen under Brent Key over the last 2 weeks, but I need to continue to see this. We're going to see some better defenses than Duke, obviously, in the ACC. So I need to continue to see the offense to just build on the confidence that they're gaining right now. Sims looks really confident. He looks like a great passer, great runner right now. And he needs to build on that performance. So really encouraging to see that. But I'm not saying he's a world beater and he's going to win the Heisman this year, next year, or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this Sims is playing way closer to his ceiling than he has his whole career right now. And I think that a lot of that is due to the coaching change. With Key being the head coach, I think the guys are playing for him, playing harder for him. I think they respect him. I think they fear him. And I think you're seeing that translate on the field. I mean, it could be as simple as that. It could be he doesn't have his coordinators on a tight leash anymore. We don't really know. We're not inside the program. We don't really know. All we can do is speculate. But one thing we do know is that the whole team looks a lot better under Key. And so that's going to translate to Sims playing better. So that's a great sign. Defensively, I can't say enough. Ace Ely and Charlie Thomas continue to honestly be the best linebacking core in the ACC, if not top 3. They combined this season have 117 tackles. Charlie Thomas has only played in 2 games, and he has like 50 something tackles, 52 maybe 50, which is nuts. That's more than most starting linebackers in the ACC. So both those guys are just all over the place, and they looked good again on Saturday. Ace Ely is a disruptor. He was in the backfield all day. Charlie Thomas is so great in coverage. He played DB in high school, so he's got mobility. And seeing him in coverage, having the ability to have someone like that at linebacker that will come up and hit you in the mouth, can stuff the run, can sack the quarterback, and can also be good enough in coverage to pick the ball off and to stay with slot receivers when they run unders and slants and crossing routes and whatever. That is a very special person to have on the field. So I think we're seeing that a lot. I think they complement each other great because I think Ace is a lot more of a linebacker that's going to get you a lot of tackles because he's always going to be in the box. And Charlie is just flying around everywhere. Charlie Thomas is everywhere on the field. and his impact is felt from sideline to sideline. So both those guys look great. Want to mention Clayton Powell-Lee. I was worried about Jalen King's absence, and I don't think I'm as worried anymore. Clayton Powell-Lee, true freshman, had 8 tackles, looked great, had a couple PBUs. Guy was on fire, and he played upwards of 80 snaps on Saturday as a true freshman and just looked fantastic. So that's really encouraging to see as well. A guy stepping up. Jalen King has been our wood layer this year. He's been laying people out. He's been getting PBUs. He's been a leader on that defense. He goes down. Clayton Powell-Lee steps right up as a true freshman and comes in his first game and is second on the defense in tackles. And if that doesn't really speak to what Key is doing for this program right now, then I don't know what does. Because I just don't think you see something like that under Coach Collins. I just don't. Because, when you see things like that, when you see a true freshman come in and play that many snaps and almost lead the team in tackles, end up having more tackles than Charlie Thomas, that's coaching. That is wanting to play for your coach. That is playing hard for 60 minutes, 60 plus minutes. We went into overtime. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that's just really encouraging to see as well. LaMiles Brooks looked great. That PBU on 4th down was awesome. KJ Wallace had a pick in the red zone on a 4th down pass, was awesome. DBs just look so much better as well. And I think, that kind of goes back to what I was saying with Collins having Thacker on a leash. I think that now that Collins is gone, I think Thacker kind of is running what he wants to. That's my theory on it. I think Collins kind of inserted himself a little too much in the defense. I'm not saying in Thacker we trust. It's only been 2 weeks. But the 2 weeks that Collins has been gone, Thacker's defense has looked fantastic. So, there's that. We got to continue to see how they look as the season goes on. But the DBs look like they know what they're doing. They're playing hard. Their technique looks great, much improved. And we're just not getting beat deep. We really haven't gotten beat deep at all this year, minus a couple times. So that's really encouraging as well, because that's plagued us in the past for the past 3 years. So DB has played really well. Special teams, 3 made field goals, I think, including overtime, which is awesome. Gavin Stewart is 7 for 7 on field goals since he became the starter. So that is really encouraging to see as well. And the whole team just seems like they're clicking right now, which is really encouraging. So it was a great win. Should have never gone into overtime. I was there. I know a lot of you were there. A lot of you were watching on television. Gosh, what do I say about the roughing the passer call, except that was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I lost my voice personally for booing at the ref so much on that ensuing drive, because that was on a 3rd down and it would have essentially stalled the drive. And I think we would have taken over and won the football game right there. But that call, that very controversial call, extended their drive and ended up allowing them to march down the field. We had 2 more penalties called on us, which I think were not as controversial. I think the penalties that were called on us later on that drive were probably pretty warranted. But that roughing the passer was ridiculous. Sylvain was there on time. He was pressuring the quarterback. He hit him right as he let go of the ball. I don't know what you expect Sylvain to do in that situation. He can't pull up at all. He's going to tackle the quarterback because he's right there. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. You see that a lot. You saw it the very next day with the Falcons. So with Tom Brady, and you can, at that point, you just got to scratch your head. But I'm very glad, and it speaks to the resiliency of this team and Brent Key and the staff as a whole, and the momentum that we have as a program right now, that we were able to overcome that BS call and win in overtime. Because a Collins coach team, if we were in that position, I think we lose that football game. I think the team kind of gives up. I don't think was much of a motivating character. But we overcame that call and won the game. So the final score was Georgia Tech 23, Duke 13, and refs 7. But yeah, so we overcame that, and that was awesome. Awesome to see. Shouldn't have gone into overtime. I wish that we would have won that game 20-6 like we should have, but they had a punt return as well. So definitely need to continue to work on special teams. The punt unit looks better, but now we have to focus on coverage. I'd like to see the punter get a little more hang time. I think a lot of that was the problem. He was kicking line drives, and it didn't really allow the coverage team to get down there. And your punt returner for any team is going to be your guy that's going to be able to make guys miss in space. If you give a guy time to read blocks and make defenders miss, then you could find yourself in trouble. And that's kind of what happened with that punt return for a touchdown. So I know I trust Brent Key will get that cleaned up. He's not a type of guy to mess around with stuff like that. So not really worried. I'm glad we came out with the win. I'm very pleased with where we are. Brent Key 2-0. Going into a bye week that I think is much needed. Sims was a little banged up. I'm going to give our guys time to rest, time to regroup, time to focus, time to kind of sit down and think like we control our own destiny to get to the ACC championship. And don't call me out for getting to it out of myself, because it's true. And with our remaining schedule, like, I'm not saying we run the table and go, but it's not out of the picture. It's just not. Like, we don't play any, like, the only game on our schedule that we simply are not going to win is UGA. So, I mean, if Duke beats North Carolina this Saturday, we take first place in the Coastal. And we control our own destiny either way, because we haven't played UNC yet. So it's just exciting. It's exciting to be talking about this stuff again. Georgia Tech football seems like it's getting back to where it should be, which is we can go into every game thinking that we have a legitimate 50-50 chance to win, or maybe even more. And it hasn't been like that under Collins. I used to go into games thinking, wow, we're about to get cooked. Like, there's no shot that we win this game. And like I just said, I don't think I'm going to go into any game this year unless something drastically changes. I don't think I'm going to walk into any game this year thinking, wow, we're about to get torched, except for UGA. We still have a ways to go before we get to UGA level. But that's exciting. And that's what Georgia Tech football should be. We should have a chance to win every game. And I think Brent Key gives us that. I think he gives us an edge. He loves the students. He loves the school. He loves those guys. He's just a genuine guy. I mean, Collins, I feel like, spewed a lot of BS at the fan base, at the players, at media. Brent Key tells it like it is, and he's going to be straight up with you. And I really respect that. That video of him cheering on the students after the win was just awesome. I mean, you can't fake passion for a fan base and passion for a school and passion for a football team like that. You can't fake that. You just can't. So awesome to see. Hoping we keep this momentum rolling. It kind of sucks that we have a bye week because we are on a streak right now, and I think we're hot. I think we're confident, but I trust Key and the staff to keep that confidence maintained through the bye week. And then we play national television at Bobby Dodd on Thursday of next week versus Virginia. Be there. Please go. We need to start packing out that stadium. It was loud on Saturday, and there was probably 39,000, maybe 40,000 in attendance. We did not fill it up. We didn't even come close. And I understand with how this program has been going the last couple of years. I get it. But now that we are building some momentum and we look like a football team again, I think we got to start packing it out. So that's a necessity for me. Go to that game if you can. So yeah, that's about it for my thoughts on Duke and Georgia Tech. Post-game thoughts. I just really thought we brought it physically in the two games under. One more thing I wanted to mention, with the two games under Brent Key, with Pitt and now Duke, I think you've really been able to tell from a physicality standpoint as well where this team is under Brent Key. I mean, we have brought it. We brought it physically to Pitt. We brought it physically to Duke. We dominated on the line of scrimmage in both of those games. I mean, O-line struggled versus Pitt. Like I said, that's a great D-line, but they held their own. And the D-line in both games has been just dominating in the trenches. And then the O-line in the Duke game, got to push every time we ran the ball, gave Sims time, and we were just bringing it to him. all game. I mean, hitting him in the mouth and getting back up and doing it again. I mean, and that kind of speaks to Brent Key's personality in my point of view. And Collins is the exact opposite. I don't think we were a physical football team under him because it's not really who he is, if that makes any sense. So that's really encouraging to see as well. We need to be, if we're going to have a chance in all these football games, we have to be physical at the point of attack and just strap it up and hit people in the mouth. And that's who Brent Key is. And I think that's who this football team is slowly becoming, or at least that's what I've seen over the last 2 weeks. So that's awesome to see as well. So hoping we keep the momentum rolling. Going into the bye week, I'm kind of glad we get to regroup and continue to get some more practice under our belt, continue to get some rest. Simpsons to rest up, continue to just stack days and just, take it week by week, try to win every game you can and look up at the end and see where you rank in the ACC and see if you made a bowl game, I think there's a chance that we make a bowl. I'm not going to say we're going to. I'm not going to say we're not going to. I'm not going to say that we're going to finish top 2 in the Coastal. I'm not going to say we aren't. So we'll see. But I am very pleased and very cautiously optimistic with the way this team is looking right now and the way this program is trending. So I'm hoping Jeff Sims continues to play like he did. I have no doubts about Charlie Thomas and Ace Haley leading that defense. DBs have looked great, hoping they continue to do that. We're going to see some good quarterbacks in the next couple of weeks. Tyler Van Dyke has the ability to go for 450. He likes the deep ball. Drake May has like 19 touchdowns this year, and Josh Downs is one of the fastest slot receivers I've ever seen at UNC. So we're going to be tested. Our DBs are going to be tested. They've been playing well. Hoping they continue that. Just continue to, the next 2 games we have are very winnable football games. So we're just going to have to see where we're at. But like I said, very encouraging, very exciting time to be a Georgia Tech football fan. This is how I felt as a kid growing up, watching Georgia Tech play real football. It's been painful the last couple of years, but we are rising from the ashes and slowly climbing up out of the worst teams, the bottom 25 in college football. We are climbing our way out of there. Hoping we can continue to garner some respect nationally, and just show people that, Collins was holding us back, whether you want to admit it or not. He was. The entire team, offense, defense, special teams. And I think Brent is really doing a good job so far of really just bringing us out of that. So hit me up on Twitter, leave some comments on this video. Let me know your thoughts. Anything else, interact with me, let me know. But everyone have a good bye week. Sit back, relax. We don't play football this weekend, so enjoy some good games. There's a great slate this Saturday. I'm excited to sit down and watch it and not have to have another heart attack for Georgia Tech. And I'll make another video next week going into the UVA game, previewing them. But until then, go Jackets, to hell with Georgia. And we'll see you guys after the bye week.